Good morning, beautiful people. Yeah, Miss Annie, I chose that song because in the morning, you know what I'm saying? I wanted it to be a little light when we first came in. I didn't want the song to be too heavy, because you're drinking coffee. I didn't want it to scare people when they first come in and go, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, Miss Annie, Miss Coffee, um, Miss RMY. Hey, James. I'm trying to make sure. Nessa, beautiful Nessa. Hey, good morning. This morning, we're not going to necessarily cover beef sector this morning. We're going to cover some news stories. I've been seeing something. Okay. Jay Dunn, what's up, South Memphis? Brought it to my attention about the little girl in Mississippi, right? The little girl who killed her mom or unalived. We're going to use proper terminology. Her mother. Well, there was also one that happened in Florida, and there's another one in Alabama, and it's almost become an epidemic recently of this. I've noticed, like, if you go look up teen ills, mother, father, or parents, you're going to find, first, you're going to find the most recent ones, right? But if you keep scrolling, it's like more and more and more and more. I think, I am from the South. I love my pew pews, right? I do. Good morning, Roy Maid in the Rodriguez. What's up? How you doing? Hey, sweet T713. Hey, Miss Coco. I love my pew pews and whatnot, but I also believe in keep putting, put them up, put them away from children. Now, when I was a kid, my dad never had a lock cabinet or any of that, but I knew better. You know, I'm wondering if it's because of times changing that we're seeing an increase in this than versus 15, 20 years ago. Because a lot of people whose parents had them when we were younger, we knew they had it, but we also really knew better than to touch it whatsoever. Right? Like my mom and my dad would have gave me the spank. I was scared to do anything against them. Like I was deathly afraid of it, but I also knew I could go to my parents for a hug and a kiss and love, right? But I knew better than to do something like that. Like I think that because of certain rules and regulations that have come into play, that parents aren't disciplining their children like they used to. And I'm not saying beat your children. No, I'm not saying that. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. There's a difference between having a healthy fear of your parents and being afraid of your parents. You get what I'm saying? Like for mine, I was, you know, I had that healthy fear, but I also knew that I could come to them with love. Like if I had a problem, I could come to them. There would be no judgment. You know what I'm saying? They would give me my hugs. They would give me my kisses. Like I didn't have that kind of fear, but I had it enough to where I knew better than to act up, right? Like I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I didn't want to hurt them because they love me so much. You get what I'm saying? And I also didn't want to get that discipline either, Chad. I didn't want to get a spanking or I didn't want to get grounded for 2 weeks and, all this other stuff. But with everything that's going on in the world today, right? There's so much violence more than what we're used to in the past. Yeah, we had it back then, but it's getting so much more amped up, if that makes sense. Hey, Miss Pretty Q. You so pretty, Miss Clay. Is it Q or Quay? That's what I always want to know. But anyway, hey, pretty lady. Um, but yes, so we're gonna get on that this morning. I'm actually going to show. We're going to read over the website. There's videos of everything within their you know uh, article, and we're gonna go over this. And at the end of the show, I would like, I'm not gonna be long. I also need to make a announcement. I'm not going to be here too long this morning like I usually am because I do have a doctor's appointment today. Checkup. It's nothing crazy. It's just a checkup, y'all. It's just a checkup. But I do believe that social media presence, like you said, Coco, does have a huge influence. I believe that kids. Hey, TC love. Kids today aren't as like they're not afraid of anything. You get what I'm saying? They don't fear consequence. Like we feared consequence. Like I know for a fact that I did. I'm not saying it didn't happen, and I'm not saying like in some In some ways, it can and can't be justified. And people are going to disagree with me with that. I understand. But you never know what's going on behind closed doors with some people, right? So you don't know if certain things are happening to those children behind closed doors that they feel that's their only way out. You know what I'm saying? But then there's also the kid who did it just because mommy said no and daddy said no, right? So you have to look at each one on a case by case basis, just like you do with everything in life. I'm not saying it justifies it, because you know what I'm saying? Nothing justifies that necessarily, but if a child is being severely neglected, severely abused, mentally, sexually, physically, all that, sometimes they feel that's their only way out, you know, because they're a kid, you know, they don't think of other things. They go, well, this is my way out, you know. And then you have the other one who, you know. So I think it's a case by case, but we feared consequences. Think about it. Most kids now today will say, I'm gonna call DHS on you if you know what I'm saying. I've seen these videos on different platforms of kids threatening their parents. I would have never threatened my parents. In fact, my mama would have told me, child, let me tell you what my mama would have did. And sorry, J Dunn, I said it again. I'm trying to break myself. I did pretty good. It's my first one. She would have handed me the phone and told me, here, call them. Call them. You know what I'm saying? She would have told me to call them. And she would have packed my stuff for me. She would have done it, child. Oh, there I go again. She would have done it for me. She would have packed my bag, handed me the phone, and told me to call them. Tell them to come get me. I'm going to tell you that. I don't know if y'all's parents did that, but mine would have. She would have told me to come get it. Oh, and thank y'all for my hair color is naturally a brown, but a lot of times I dye it black because I just like the way it looks. And then sometimes if I do bright colors, I'll re-dye it black to get the bright color out, and then I let that grow out. I haven't dyed my hair now in a long time. Yeah, you must have signed me the other day. Y'all, I got to tell on myself before we do this news article. On Lemons last night, if you ain't watched his video when he did the stuff on Shakim, and you should totally watch it because he had ashy knees and ashy feet. I sang, I had to sing a little something for the repast child for the funeral. I was just joking around. You know, I like to joke. But yeah, so I didn't stay up there too long. It was just the first part. You know, I had to do the singing for it. And Shakim, if you see this, I'm gonna give you a little word of advice. If you know somebody's got something, come out with it first. You get what I'm saying? Get in front of the story. I'm just giving you that advice. That's all. Okay. So we're going to go back to our story. So I'm going to go ahead and put this copyright disclaimer up, and all that, so that they'll know that under the copyright law, I can use this for criticism, comment, news reporting, all that stuff. We're doing this for educational purposes, to learn some stuff, to see what's going on in the world. That's what we're doing. No, you didn't, the hood table. You so bad, child. Yes, they do. They do mind trees. I'm gonna say this: if you go meet up with anybody on this app, make sure that there's certain people I would, but nobody would know about it until pretty much it's over with. Right? Like after we post pictures or we randomly go live and surprise everybody. Like nobody would know about it. That's the thing. I'm gonna keep it quiet, hush, hush. But you gotta, if you gonna go meet somebody, make sure you on your P's and Q's and you looking right and ain't nothing they can talk about your child. You know what I'm saying? Like how your hair did, and everything. Hey, Bush baby, good morning. All right, now I'm fixing to share the screen and we're gonna go over this article. All right. Okay. I know you always tell me that. Okay, we're gonna go to this one first. All right, so on this one, we got the video from inside the home that shows Carly Gregg and what appears to be the sound of 3 gunshots. 15-year-old accused of killing her mother, wounding her stepfather in shooting. Okay. Rankin County, Mississippi. If y'all don't know, Rankin County, Mississippi is down there near Jackson, right? Jackson is our capital city, but that's where Rankin County, Mississippi is. It's down south near the coast. Okay. A little history list. In the security video on Tuesday, it appears to show a calm Carly Gregg walking through her family's house before 3 gunshots ring out. The video was recorded March 19th at 4:15 p.m. It was recorded by a security camera in the kitchen of the home in Brandon, where Gregg lived with her mother, Ashley Smiley, and stepfather, Heath Smiley. The video shows, and I'm guessing that's how you say Smiley. I'm hoping I said that right. The video shows Gregg letting the family's 2 golden retrievers in the house through the exterior door leading to the kitchen. Gregg, with her hands behind her back, is seen walking past the kitchen. A few seconds later, 3 shots and a scream are heard. Gregg then walked back into the kitchen, sat down, and picked up her cell phone. We're going to play this video in it, and to show you this is what the security footage in the home picked up. I'm going to go ahead and play. Now, in that video, as y'all saw, she walks by with her hand behind her back, right? She has something tucked, right? Goes in there, you hear, the pew pew, right? And then she comes and sits back down, and it looks like she set the pew pew behind her on that counter, because if you watched, when she got back up, she reached and grabbed something from behind her. You know what I'm saying? And this is a sad situation. Also, disclaimer, if anybody is triggered, I just want to give a trigger warning, you know what I'm saying? I should have said that before the video. But Gregg was 14 years old when the shooting took place. Gregg is accused of fatally shooting her mother, who was a teacher at Northwest Rankin High School, where Gregg, now 15, was also a student. So her mother was also a teacher. Gregg's stepfather took the witness stand earlier this Tuesday. They loved each other so much. Just everything she did, she planned out for Carly and around Carly. So everything her mother did was for her. Everything her mother tried to do. Heath Smiley said Gregg was depressed some days and was seeing a therapist. Prosecutor Catherine Newman asked him to describe what happened when he walked into the house on the day of the shooting. Everything seemed pretty normal, he said. I came in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen, there, a gun went off in my face before the door. I don't know, was 3 or 4 inches wide. Heath Smiley said everything went kind of fast from there. It's a blur. Heath Smiley said the gun went off twice after that, but his hand was on the gun after the first shot. He said Gregg shot him from about a foot away. His shoulder was grazed by 1 bullet. She was screaming out of her mind, scared, like she had seen a demon or something. A video from a security camera in the garage recorded screaming, and what Heath Smiley said was him saying, "Carly, what's wrong?" Heath Smiley said he got the gun away from Gregg, and he said he took off so fast he knew he wasn't going to be able to catch her. It was very, very evident to me that something was off with Carly. She was so fast. He said his wife kept a .357 caliber Magnum on her side of the bed in a cubby. He said the gun had been there for years. The first two witnesses called by the prosecution on Tuesdays were juveniles. Rankin County Circuit Court Judge Dewey Arthur barred video and audio recordings of the testimony because of the ages of the witnesses. She said, "Have you ever seen a dead body? Does it make you squeamish?" Then she was like, "My mom's in there." And I peeked my head in the door, and the witness said, Ashley Smiley had her arms crossed and a towel over her head, which is the pool camera from media coverage reported. The witness said Gregg had a gun and was carrying it around. The witness said Gregg said she had shot her mother 3 times in the head. The witness said that Gregg's stepfather pulled up to the house. They didn't warn him about what happened. The second witness said was 17-year-old high school senior who said he met Gregg in 2022 at the summer camp. He said Gregg had used marijuana and magic mushrooms. And he said, and the witness said, "I believe she's done cocaine once." On Monday's 911 call was placed from the jury in which carrying a historical Heath Smiley told the dispatcher that Gregg tried to kill him after she shot and killed her mom. Gregg's was seen crying and wiping away tears as she listened to the 911 recording. She also became emotional when the prosecutor played the body camera video from the first Rankin County deputy at the scene. The deputy said Gregg ran from the scene after the shooting, but she was later captured. Gregg is charged as an adult. If convicted, she faces 20 years to life in prison. Testimonies continue Tuesday. The trial is expected to last about a week. So this trial is ongoing right now, and we're going to keep up with it. Hold on, we're going to make sure we show a little, if y'all could see a picture. Let's see, I think the top news article has one right up here. We're going to play this. I have to deal with the, they have those little commercials for their own purposes. This is a serious story, but it needs to be talked about because, think about all the people in the world that are going through something like this. I have 2, 3, 4, 5 more news articles, and some of the kids are actually getting away with it, y'all. They're getting off, and because I have 2 more stories I'll show you.
And today we were able to hear from Carly Gregg's stepfather for the first time, Heath Smiley, who shared the moments leading up to being shot by his stepdaughter. Called Heath Smiley to the stand, where he described his stepdaughter's relationship with her mother. He said Carly had a good relationship with her mom, Ashley, and never got into trouble.
She looks so young.
During cross-examination, the defense showed jury security cam footage the day of the shooting, allowing them to hear the popping sound of the gunshots and Carly's hysterical screaming as Heath Smiley entered their home. Heath Smiley then walked us through the moments when he was shot by Gregg.
Everything seemed pretty normal, and I came on in, and when I opened the door to the kitchen there, gun went off in my face before the door was, 3 or 4 inches wide open, and everything kind of went pretty fast from there. It was a blur.
What did you remember seeing, Heath?
Just gun flash in my face, and it went off. My hand was on the gun after the first shot. She was screaming out of her mind, scared. It was like she had seen a demon or something. She was terrified.
Before Heath Smiley's testimony, the prosecution called two of Carly's friends to take the stand. One of them came to her house the day of the murder, asking them, she said, "Have you ever seen a dead body? Does it make you squeamish?" before showing them her mother's body. The witness then said Gregg told them that she had 3 more shots for her stepdad. 2 law enforcement officers were also called to testify today, including Rankin County Chief Deputy Coroner Cliff Dunlap and Rankin County Investigator Tyler Burnell. Burnell shared more about the investigation and showed the jury the gun used to kill Ashley Smiley, as well as handing them graphic images of her wounds.
We're going to switch over. They are actually live right now with the trial, and we're going to play and show what's going on right now in the trial. We're going to stop this screen share. We're going to switch. Actually, I can do it this way. Share this. Okay. And we're going to start watching. She looks so young, doesn't she? A little kid. This is sad. I'm not getting any sound. It may be the YouTube channel myself, or it may just be there is no sound right now. But we're going to see what we can skip to and show if they here we go.
How do you, and what is your, it's an outpatient, okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to make sure we get to the part where she starts speaking. Sorry, y'all. Here we go.
Have a seat. When you adjust yourself up to the microphone, you don't have to speak directly into it.
Okay.
But I do need you to speak so that lady in the very back row over there.
Okay, got it.
I understand that you're now under arrest. You're sworn answer subject to felony perjury. All right, you may proceed.
If you would, Olivia, introduce yourself to these men and women. I'm Olivia Lieber. And Olivia, where do you work?
Precise Mind.
And tell us a little bit about what Precise Mind is.
It's an outpatient mental health clinic, and we do research and mental health care for all ages.
Just to be clear, you're a little nervous today, right?
Yes, yeah, I am.
Is this your first time to ever testify?
Yes.
All right. How do you, and what is your role at Precise?
I'm a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner.
And can you kind of tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do?
Yeah. I got a degree with a master's degree in advanced nursing practice. So I chose to specialize in psychiatric mental health. The nurse practitioner program requires 1,200 hours of clinical practice, and we have to do different specialty groups, have experience with different specialty groups like geriatrics, adolescents, outpatient and inpatient psychiatry. So it's just a specialized nurse practitioner role, provider role.
And when did you do that?
That was 2.5 years ago, and I graduated in December 2021.
And have you been at Precise the whole time since then?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what is it that you do? I know you told us that you're a nurse practitioner there, but what is it that you actually do, like with patients at
Okay.
Precise?
We evaluate them and assess them, and we diagnose and then do medication management.
When you're evaluating them, is it important that they provide you accurate information?
Oh yes, very.
And why is that?
Because we base our diagnosis on that.
Did you have the opportunity to have a patient by the name of Carly Gregg?
Yes,
Do you see her in the courtroom?
I do.
Is she at the defense table?
Yes.
Olivia, I want to talk to you. Do y'all keep medical records of your treatment that you provide to patients?
Yes.
And did you do that with Ms. Gregg as well?
Mm-hmm.
May I practice witness, Your Honor? You can take that off if you need to.
Thank you.
I've given you what's been marked previously as State's Exhibit number 19. If you could take a minute and look at that and see if you recognize those documents.
Mm-hmm. Yes, these are my notes from her visits.
And again, why is it important that we have medical records?
Well, we can't remember everything that we've done, and just to basically keep a treatment plan of what we've seen, what we think is going on, and what we need to address, and then the plan that we come up with the patient and or parents.
Do you recall the first time that you met Carly Gregg?
Mhm.
When was that?
That was January 15th,
Okay.
2024.
And prior to actually having an appointment with you and you being in the room with her, did she also fill out any paperwork or have any testing done?
They are required to fill out intake paperwork that have a few screenings and just demographic information.
Did you have Ms. Gregg do any additional screenings or questionnaires?
No.
And who has them fill out if you'll turn to base stamps number, it's 757, Olivia, in that.
Okay.
I'm looking at something called the cardiac screening questionnaire.
Okay. Got it.
Kind of talk us through what that is and who has the patient fill out that form.
These are all sent to every patient. It's just like a whole intake packet, basically. If they're a minor, usually the parent does it. And this cardiac screening is mostly for patients that we're going to have on a stimulant or something that could affect their cardiac function.
And in your treatment with Ms. Gregg, you didn't really need much from the cardiac questionnaire. I want to take you to, looks like there is 2 pages after that. There's an adult ADHD self-report scale checklist.
Mm-hmm.
Is that similar in nature in that the patient fills that out before they ever meet with you?
Uh-huh.
Is that something that you review?
Yes.
I want to talk about just a couple of things on that page.
Okay.
Olivia, down at question 6, it says, how often do you feel overly active and compelled to do things like you're driven by a motor?
Mm-hmm.
And the response was very often.
Right.
Did you review that when you were making rendering treatment to Carly?
Yes.
What about number 9 when she said she had difficulty concentrating on what people say sometimes? And she said often.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Okay. And then if you'll turn back to the next page for me, 760, how often do you have difficulty unwinding or relaxing when you have time by yourself? And what did she say?
Rarely.
And what does that mean to you?
That this is just normal adolescent behavior. We have ups and downs at that age, and typically you can have a range of energy and or sleep disturbances throughout that age group, throughout life. So that just means that she has no trouble unwinding and relaxing, just what it says.
And then when you take the page before that, when she talks about being overly active and sometimes having concentration problems, did you take that to mean the same thing, just a regular teenager that has ups and downs?
Once I asked her more about possible ADHD, that was ruled out. So yes.
Okay. And so this is not your entire treatment of Ms. Gregg, right?
Absolutely not.
I'm going to ask you to keep looking. There's something called, Olivia, the modified mini screen.
Got it.
On the following pages, it's 761, 762, and 763. What is, if you can tell us, those of us that are not in the medical field, what the modified mini screen is?
This is one of the intake screenings that we do just to kind of identify, really to let the patient look at possible symptoms they could be having and then just answer yes or no to those so that we're made aware of them. I usually overlook these before the patient comes in and just to kind of have an idea of what to ask about that I need to, focus on beforehand.
And if the patient responds yes or no, you would then ask some kind of follow-up questions.
Definitely.
When you're meeting with them.
Mm-hmm.
And did you do that specifically with Carly Gregg?
Yes.
I want to point you to the very last page of that document. Question number 21. If you could read that for the ladies and gentlemen, what the question is and what Ms. Gregg's response was to that.
Have you ever heard things other people couldn't hear, such as voices? And she said no.
And what date was that was put in your system?
January 15th, 24.
2024.
Mm-hmm.
So, Olivia, you told us a little bit about and I think that most of us have been to the doctor's office, right? You have to fill out these forms, different places, different forms. You said you look over those forms,
Mhm.
and then tell us about what you do kind of when you meet a patient for the very first time.
Okay. Usually I ask about kind of what brought them here, what their chief complaint is, so to say. And then I do a whole mental evaluation, and that includes sleeping and eating habits. For her age group, I would ask about social stressors, friend groups, if she has a good support system, a number of things, just to kind of narrow down what's going on.
And I want to talk specifically about Carly Gregg.
Mhm.
When she came in, what were you told was the reason for her visit with you?
Depression and anxiety, and she had had some social stressors.
And what did she describe those social stressors to be?
We talked about her childhood and kind of having not a great relationship with her dad, and an altercation with her mom recently. I'm going to refer to my notes.
Yeah, if you would take a look at that and then tell us once you've had a chance to repeat that. And that's the note
Okay.
from January the 15th of 2024.
Yes. She said that she had started feeling depressed since sixth grade, and then the social stressors were her parents and their custody battle.
Did she also mention that she had a little sister that had died some years back?
Yes.
I want to ask you, it says that about midway down, it says she's in the 10th grade at Northwest Rankin and she loves school and is the valedictorian.
Yes.
How did you get that information?
I was mostly asking about school in regards to ADHD and ruling that out. And so I asked her how school was, and she said she loved it. She's a great student and she's a smart girl.
Did she tell you that she was the valedictorian?
Yes.
Would it surprise you to learn she wasn't?
No.
Okay. Let's see. She talked about, in your notes, it says, talking about that she was in therapy previously.
Right.
What did you learn about the reason that she was in therapy when she was younger?
If I understood correctly, or remember correctly, it was based on the divorce court or custody court ordering her to go to equine therapy.
And who was that divorce? If you don't know, that's okay.
I think it was a custody battle between her dad and her mom.
Her biological dad.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for us. And at some point, down at the end of the note there in your history, it says her mom says that she's been lying and talking to a guy on Snapchat on a burner phone, and she's hiding it from her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom made her cut him off after they found out she was cutting her thighs and taking sleeping pills.
Right.
Is that something that you remember discussing with Carly and Ashley Smiley that day?
Yes.
And at any point, did Carly say, "No, I wasn't taking sleeping pills"?
Not that I recall.
And at some point after your evaluation with her and you're in there on that first day, was there discussions about maybe giving her some medicine to try to help with her issues?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
First, we talked about counseling, and that was definitely recommended. And then we kind of pointed out the priorities and what was getting in the way of her life the most and making things most difficult and what was a priority to address. And then we talked about medication options and what to start.
And what did you end up starting her on?
Zoloft.
And do you remember what the milligrams was?
25 milligrams daily.
And tell ladies and gentlemen just a little bit about, is that a lot of medicine? Is that a little bit of medicine?
No, that's a starting dose, and I'm usually conservative with my approaches, so that was just a normal starting dose for her age.
And is that one of the lowest dosages that you can actually prescribe?
Yes.
I want to walk you through, Olivia, I'm looking at page 744, so I want to make sure we're looking at the same thing, under behavioral health history.
Which page was it?
744 down at the bottom right. I'm still in your January 15, 2024.
Okay, one second. Got it.
Down there it says Carly had grown tired of counseling and wanted to stop. Do you remember them talking to you about that?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
After the equine therapy, she had tried other counselors that she wasn't necessarily happy with and stopped at some point.
And it actually even says down there, subsequent providers appeared far less impactful as Carly grew disillusioned with the courts.
Right.
Were those your words or something that they told you?
This portion was filled out by Ashley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take you to the next page where you talk about mental status exam and risk assessment. And if
Okay.
you could tell us what that is and what you're looking for.
We're really just observing for any kind of abnormal behavior or things that stand out, like memory, attention span. They articulate well. They're cooperative, and then mood, affect. If their judgment is sound, and if they have any presence of psychosis, hallucinations, delusions.
So I want to walk you through a couple of those for Carly on January the 15th.
Okay.
What did you report her psychomotor behavior to be?
Well coordinated, which is normal.
What about her speech?
Normal rate and volume.
She wasn't talking really fast or really loud. What about when you go to her about her cognitive abilities on that day? Can you describe for ladies and gentlemen what you said about her attention span and concentration?
They were all within normal limits.
Her orientation to time, place, and person.
She was oriented to all.
And so what does that mean?
That she's aware of where she is, who she is, and the date and time and situation.
What did Carly report regarding her recent memory, her ability to recall things?
That it was within normal limits.
And what about remote memory? So things that were not happening right at that moment, but kind of in the past.
Same.
Down a little further, you talked about her emotional state. Can you tell us what her mood and affect were?
They were during the appointment. It was normal and alert and oriented and appropriate.
Her judgment and insight that day, is that something you also took into consideration?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you determine to be Carly's judgment and insight?
Within normal limits.
I want to take you, Olivia, to there's a section in that assessment about thought processes.
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell us about what you observed and what your records indicate about whether or not Carly was having abnormal or psychotic thoughts on January the 15th, 2024?
She denied those.
And did she ever tell you that she was having those types of thoughts before January the 15th of 2024?
No, she denied hallucinations or delusions.
And what was your diagnosis of Carly from your encounter with her in January 15th of 2024?
Adjustment disorder with mixed anxiety and depressed mood, and then major depressive disorder, single episode, moderate severity.
So for those of us that are not in the medical field,
Mm-hmm.
will you break that down for
Yeah.
us and just tell us kind of what that means?
Sure. An adjustment disorder is basically just based on a stressful situation that might have happened that is their reaction to that. So it's pretty common, especially in her age group. So, and then there's a specifier that you can add that says with mixed anxiety or depressed mood. So I added that. And then major depressive disorder. And then you can specify single episode or if it's been recurrent, and then the severity, if it's moderate or severe or minimal.
And you put single episode. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Just that it wasn't chronic, that I was aware of at that time.
Okay. And so, and again, you're just able to render your opinions based off the information provided.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Does that appear to be, I'm sorry, there's actually another page to that. I want to talk to you about that before we move on.
Okay.
It talks about your clinical assessment and treatment plan, and we've already talked about what medication you put her on.
Right.
Tell us, there's another paragraph on that page that says SSRI /SNRI/TCA, and then it talks about patient warned of possible side effects. Can you tell us what that means?
This is just a warning for those drug classes that of possible side effects that could happen that I go over with all my patients.
And did you go over those side effects with Carly Gregg?
Yes.
And one of those side effects is self-harm, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell them? You know, if you're having thoughts of suicide, what do you need to do?
Go to the emergency room, call us, and stop the medication, or go to the emergency room if you are afraid that you're going to harm yourself or others.
And at any point between January and the next time you saw Carly, did she tell you that she was having any trouble with her medication?
No.
I want to talk about the next time that you had the opportunity to provide treatment to Carly. Was that on February the 14th of 2024?
Correct.
And the notes I'm looking at say that was a telemed.
Right.
And it was mom was present.
Uh-huh.
So tell ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean, telemed?
They just have the option to do in person or a Zoom call for their appointment.
And what did Carly tell you? There's sort of a history provided by the patient. What did she tell you about the medication she was on at that point?
That it had not really had an impact on her at that time.
And so kind of what was your discussion about? We're on 25 milligrams. And then what did you talk to them about?
How it's affected them and if they've had any bad side effects. And if they have not, then, and it has not done anything like for her at that point, then we usually go up on it.
And I want to talk about those side effects because your medical records specifically say the patient.
So basically, we heard that in this that she was talking to a dude on Snapchat. Y'all heard that, right? And her mom had cut her off from talking to said dude, and she started acting out. Now, here's my question. Do y'all think that it's possible that she started acting out because of that? And possibly this may be her reasoning, because they've stated that she's had she's reported no problems with the medications, anything like that. You know, as this progresses, they're trying to do one of two things as they're showing her medical history here. She's basically trying to go with the the defense that either her medicine done it or, she snapped. She had a momentary lapse of, not being herself. Do you think that she acted out of aggression? In my opinion, my humble opinion, I have seen young girls do this, or at least not necessarily to this point or this far, but act out because mom said, no, you can't. It's very possible for that. Then they stated that she had a younger sister who passed away. Her mom and dad went through a custody battle. There's probably some things going on with that. I will say this, fathers are very important to your children. Mothers too, both of you are, fathers give that structure sometimes that we need. It's to the fact that we don't know exactly what was being said in that house all the time. We don't know how her relationship necessarily was with her biological father. I'm hoping that during this trial process, at some point in time, they bring up what is going on with her. I would love to see him actually on the stand and say what was going on, because it could lead us into more of what is going on, right? I'm gonna start trying to follow this story to give updates at least. Yes, Miss Morgan, actually I'm going to post Crime TV's link right now. I'm gonna get their link for this. Let me go ahead and get their share, because they are covering the entire trial. So if people want to go over there and keep up, and let's say I'm not live and they have something new, because obviously I'm not going to be able to be here all morning, and trials go on forever, child. But I wanted to bring a little bit of awareness that she is going through a trial right now, during this exact moment. For those who love to watch the trials, love to read the court paperworks, we have a lot of people in our sector that may be into true crime situations. This really is going on right this moment. This just happened. And I was bringing awareness to this situation, and thank you, Jay Dunn, for bringing the awareness to me. So I want to shout out Jay Dizzle. Thank you so much, because I hadn't, when they talk about stuff, sometimes I'll miss it. But this was brought up. But I was also going to screen share that this isn't the only one that's happening. You know, this is something that is going on in different places too, not just Mississippi, not just other places, but this is happening right now in Mississippi. This little girl shot her mother. We will see if she actually gets any time. So that's another thing I was going to show. In another case, this is what happened. We're going to go with this one right now. In this case, in Florida, teen ills both parents in 1 year. This a teen who killed his father in Oklahoma last year, but claimed self-defense, thereby avoiding prosecution, faces first-degree murder charges in Florida for allegedly stabbing his mother. So he got off stabbing his own father, saying it was self-defense, right? Here, I'll show you. I'm going to zoom a little. Let me unzoom because I just zoomed way too much. And literally within the matter of a year, he then went on to murder his own mother. The 17-year-old faces first-degree murder charges in the death of his 39-year-old mother. Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd said at a Wednesday press conference that he is pushing the state attorney's office to try the teen as an adult, and that he's confident that the teen would re-offend if released. When you look at this kid, Judd said, when I look at him, I see a sociopath. I see total erratic behavior to the point that he's already, at 17 years of age, shot and killed his father and got away with it, and stabbed his mother in the neck so hard that the knife went all the way through. Now he has killed 2 people and killed his mother and father, and I can assure you, beyond and that exclusion of every reasonable doubt, based upon his conduct, had he not gone to live with his grandmother at the end of this, and she crossed him, she would have been next. That is the murder weapon. And, you know, just this one right here is going to be, this is another one, you know, that's what I was bringing up. Is it becoming a thing that, you know, here in, it's, you know, we're having a something of this that we've never seen before. Here's another one out of Alabama. An Alabama teenager who's charged with in the 2016 murder of his parents, only to have those charges dropped last year, says he believes the town sheriff is still looking to put him away. So his charges were dropped. Jesse Madison Holton, then 17, was accused of gunning down his parents, Michael and April Holton, in their home in Electric, Alabama in September of 2016. Michael Holton, the former mayor of the town, was found dead with a gunshot wound to his head. April Holton, 37, died a day later from severe head trauma. The killings rocked the tiny town, and many believe Holton is to blame. You know, it says authorities at the time said Holton threw a party which involved drugs and alcohol without his parents' permission. The couple returned home to find their house in complete disarray. Michael Holton called the sheriff's department, and when authorities arrived, they found the father had handcuffed the son and told the officers he planned on signing a juvenile warrant the following morning. The deputies left, but about a half an hour later, a neighbor called the cops to say Holton showed up and claimed his parents were fighting. The police officer returned to the scene and found Michael Holton dead of a gunshot wound to the head and his wife, April, critically wounded. Holton told authorities that his father shot his mother before returning the gun on himself. However, investigators doubted his story and said the physical evidence at the scene did not match up to Holton's recollection of what happened. Holton was charged with his parents' death, but in October, the district attorney dropped the charges. From the beginning, this case has been open to interpretation as to what's actually the truth. Either Jesse Holton killed his parents and father and mother, the father of Jesse Holton killed Jesse's mother, then killed himself, or the father of Jesse Holton killed Jesse's mother, then killed himself. Or Jesse killed his father, right? So is that one, they don't, you know, They don't really have, a clear picture of exactly what happened. Good morning, ODS. Good morning, Miss Morgan, Rico, Miss Coco, Me Mug. I'm Nita Meyer, Miss Nita Meyer, Miss Morgan. I'm trying to make sure, Miss Catherine, that I say hi to everybody. If I don't, it's because I'm going over these cases. But this has become an epidemic, in my opinion. We have, if you go look that up, like I said, if you Google it, there is so much, right? That it's almost to the point of craziness, right? So much. It kind of baffles my mind. That's why I was stuttering for words, because I'm like, how many? And then they're getting their charges dropped, like the one child who killed his dad a year before and then went after his mom. And then the other kid, because there's no living witnesses, they had to drop the charges, so what precedent does this set for, if they're not facing any consequences for this? What happens if I wonder if they're going to take Carly and make an example of her, because without consequence, right, this is going to be a thing. And I'm hoping that something, comes of this. But at the same time, with Carly, we don't know what was happening in that house. They said that her father and mother were going through a very severe divorce. She lost her younger sister. They said that, she has mental issues. She was going to therapy, had been in therapy previously, but was taken out of therapy. In my humble opinion, that child should have stayed in therapy this whole time, with all that's going on in her life. Losing a sibling, as someone who has lost a sibling, is never easy. Then on top of that, she was talking to somebody on Snapchat, some man, right? They had this thing a while back to where there was these people that would get pictures from children, right? And then blackmail them. And even one child unalived himself because of it. And they actually prosecuted them. There's one of them that they're still trying to prosecute. He's trying to fight extradition. And so I wonder if the person that she was talking to on Snapchat, and I wonder if they can get those chats, if he had told her to do anything, right? Or because her mom told her she couldn't talk to him anymore, is that a possible reason? Like, there's a lot that I believe that's going to come out from this, because what in the world is a 15-year-old doing, pulling a pew-pew and unaliving her own mother, and now the stepfather said they had a great relationship, but at the same time, the therapist said that there was conflict between the mother and the daughter. How many people have to pass away before, kids don't feel they have consequence now? Oh, what? You take away their stuff? Now, I'm not saying all children are like this, but some children are a little more hard-headed. You know what I'm saying? And they want it their way. I wonder if we're having an uptick of sociopathic tendencies. When we talk about mental health and we talk about what can happen in a person's brain, I wonder if that's a possibility, because there's so many ways and so many things this can do. A child acting out is normal. Children are going to act out. They're gonna say mean things to you when they don't get their way. They're gonna throw little hissy fits, and if they don't get their way, because especially when they're younger, but or a child going, man, mom, why'd you have to embarrass me for friends, or mom, I'm not a kid anymore. Kids, kid stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure all of us acted up a little bit when we were children. Hey, it's me, Kenna. But you know, or Kenya. My bad. Hey, Rico, what's up? Hey, the hood table, love you. But yeah, I'm wondering what is going to come of this situation, and how much of it is psychological, how much of it is no consequence. You know, it's becoming more and more prevalent that because kids are not being held accountable, like I would have never even thought to raise my hand to my parents in any way, shape, or form. But I was also raised in a time period, you know, where I knew I had consequences. You know, I knew that if I did something like that, I was going to get in trouble. And child, I was scared of that trouble. I really was. I was afraid. I was petrified. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I say like there's a healthy balance for parents. And I do notice that a lot of these are you know, like the kid in the one, he was having a party. His parents come home, found out he's having a party. He messed up the house. They start arguing, right? That's where that conflict comes in at for them. There's always conflict and resolution, right? Now, they never said about why the child from Florida necessarily did that, but he he literally gunned down his father, and a year later, him living with his mother after those charges were dropped, unalived his own mother. Then they said if he had got away with it again and moved in with his grandparents or grandmother, they think he would have did it again. You know, but there needs to be some kind of conflict resolution. There needs to be like this is becoming a thing. And anybody who wants to, I did drop the live because for Live and Crime, because Law and Crime TV, that the little girl Carly Gregg, if y'all look it up, it's Mississippi versus Carly Gregg. She is the little girl that started this conversation. And thank you, Jay Dunn, again. She unalived her mother, shot her stepfather. Her mother and father are divorced and are in custody battle, or were in custody battle over her. Her younger sibling, her younger sister, passed away when she was younger. She was talking to some guy on Snapchat. And I'm going to say this, this is another thing about social medias, right? If you have a young child, watch who they're talking to, because kids can be easily influenced, right? Watch who they're talking to. Make sure that, you know, you look through their social medias, have the passwords, keep an eye on what they're doing, you know, and just try to be there for your kids and whatnot. Hold on just a minute, y'all. I got somebody walking in. Sorry about that, y'all. You know, I got a family. It happens. But you know, I do, like, when my son was little, he never really had social media like that. He still doesn't. He doesn't like social media. He'll tell you he thinks it's ew. Why do you even have it, mom? Like, he makes fun of me for having a TikTok. Okay. He makes fun of me for having social media. He's like, ew, you got Facebook? Ew. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so blessed for that in a way. But you know, that's the thing that we didn't have years ago, if you think about it. We did not have that. We didn't have the internet at our fingers like that. Even me being a millennial, right? When the internet came about, we didn't have, like, I think the only thing we had when I was a teen, we had MySpace and we had like Yahoo Messenger. And that's when you did start seeing an uptick of kids running away more and doing crazy stuff, but it wasn't as bad. We didn't have Kick and Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and, all these different things. We didn't have all that growing up. We had you go outside, you play in the yard, all those things. Maybe in some of these cases, there could be a link, you know what I'm saying, to their social media and themselves. Now, they're in most sites, on most social media sites, there is an age limit of 13, right? I wonder if these cases, if they find out there is a link between social media and some of this stuff happening, if they will raise that age limit from 13 to 17 or 18. Some of these sites actually do have that. Like, a lot of people don't know this, Discord. I was a moderator for a bot over there. Discord has an age limit, and if you catch someone who says they're 8, 9, 10 years old over there, you have to report it to Discord themselves, and they have to go through age verification before they can get their account back. They will straight up snatch the account. Like, I'm not joking you. They are very strict over there, and they actually have taken down a lot of servers for, bad people being in there trying to talk to children, do bad things. They actually are very strict on their code of conduct. You know what I'm saying? They have that. I will say that they took down, I know for a fact they took down an entire server for that. And they IP banned every person in the server. So I will say that Discord's on top of it, not saying that it can't happen, but they are on top of it. Snapchat really doesn't, look too much into it, because here's the thing about Snapchat, Kick, and things like that. That's a private messaging app, right? So it's not necessarily something like Instagram and Facebook. You have to give somebody your account in order for them to find you, so it is a little more different. Like, each social media site is different, right? But Instagram is cracking down. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, if the account holder is below 18, they can't private message. They can post, but they can't private message. They are starting to crack down on some of this, but not to the degree that I believe in the future is going to happen. I believe that in the future they are going to crack down even harder. In which case, do I agree? Yes. In ways I agree, because here's the thing. When you're underage, you're going to do some stuff, right? You're going to do some stupid things. Child, I did some stupid things as a kid too. Hey, room checker, good morning. Hey, the Miss O. Hey, Miss Doreen. But yes, I think it's going to break down to the point that something's going to happen, right? And more things are going to come out about social media, and they're going to crack down on age limits, which, do y'all agree or do y'all disagree with putting stricter age limits? And what age do you believe it should be? Should it be 18 plus, 21 plus? Like, how do you think this should go? Do you think that they should allow them at, 15, 16 to post, but not to be able to DM? Do you think that, because see, there should be a structure, in my opinion, on certain things. But it also does come down to us as parents. We also have to keep an eye on it. You know your kid if they're being sneaky. Now, kids lie. I'm not going to say they don't, because trust me, I've seen it. My sister was a master manipulator. She was a master person when it comes to that. But, we ultimately have to also watch our kid. Like, you'll know if their behavior changes, right? Like, your kid better than anybody does. You start noticing little things about them. Like, they're not eating what they used to eat. They're not as happy as they used to be. They're not as jovial. They're sleeping more. They're, whatever those cases may be, you start noticing those things, right? Like I know if my son is having a good day or a bad day by just looking in his eyes. He's my baby, even though he's not a baby anymore. He's almost a grown man. He's got a beard growing in a mustache, child, and I want to cry. I want to cry. It's too soon. It's always going to be too soon. He's already legal age to drive, child, so it's already too soon. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can't grow up no more. But what ultimately should happen from this? If y'all continue to follow, I'm gonna continue to follow this Carly Gregg story. When we get ultimately when she's sentenced, or if she gets off, whatever the case may be, when the conclusion happens, I'm gonna bring it back. We're gonna watch some stuff about it, and we're gonna figure it out. Now today I thought I'd do this little light one because I'm actually. Thank you, Jaden. I'm going to cover more of it as more comes out. And right now, I'm going to jump up off here, and I want everybody to have a good day. I'm going to go take my shower to go to my doctor's visit today, Chad. I got to go to my doctor's visit. And I did good, Jaden. I only said child like 5 times this whole life. You're going to be proud of me, child. Oop, there I go again. You're going to be proud of me. I've been trying to break it, and it's working better than, what it was. I'm going to cover in the next couple of days, probably tomorrow, we're going to go over Shakim's ashy ankles, and everybody else. We can all talk about Shakim's ashy ankles, and yeah, I got the pictures of that. We're going to talk about it, and if anything else comes out, I'm going to go rewatch the end of Lemon's lives that I've been missing because I fell asleep halfway like always. And y'all have a great day. Much love. Please make sure if you're the replay gang, thank you for even being here. Anybody in the clouds, thank you. I want to thank you to everybody. And y'all have a blessed, beautiful day. To my beautiful angels in the sky and in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and play that outro, and we're going to have a good day, y'all. And I'm going to cover this story. We're going to finish it up, figure out what happens. And we are going to do that conversation with Miss Blaze, because I think mental health is a great thing we all should talk about. Y'all have a blessed and great day, and I'm going to play that outro. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Love you all. Ain't nothing you can do about it.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. My Mississippi ain't on the map. My Mississippi don't get no dap. My Mississippi might show you love, but my Mississippi don't take no crap. Ain't no nigga with a platinum plaque that came from off of these dusty streets. That don't mean no outside niggas gon' come around here and fuck with me. My young niggas too fucked to be, and then y'all fake ass videos. Y'all with the bitches ain't hitting no shit, cause down south where we got to find this hoe. 15 niggas right on the front row. They got so drunk that they called the cops. GTA niggas ain't no punks. Mississippi gang got the hardest block.
I'm from the T-U-P-E-L-O. I'm breaking my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-P-E-L-O. I'm breaking my hood to the day that I go. From the T-U-P-E-L-O. I'm breaking my hood, so love I'm gon' show. From the T-U-P-E-L-O. I'm breaking my hood to the